I am going to be sharing with you my journey to Islam. Now, I was raised in a Christian home where my brother, sisters and I would go to Sunday school every Sunday. Once that verse comes around, we would basically be on it and off we go. We also went to church. I was baptized in a Christian church. I also was confirmed in a Christian church as well. All of my friends were Christians. Everyone in my little community were Christians. And anything that consists of going to church, once we were asked to partake, we were actively involved. Now, I remember one time my sister had said to my mom that she would like to change her religion, and my mom was saying to us, guys, you can change your religion to whatever you want, but there is one particular religion she just didn't want us to change to, which, doing my little research, I fully understood why she said that. Now, I remember one time getting my hands on a book from I can't remember exactly what was the name of the author. So I started to read this book, and this book was about Muhammad, his journey, the things that he did. It spoke about his first wife and, his journey as well into Islam. And I was very intrigued by it. And I didn't say anything to my mom at the time, but I knew I had the okay with her, when we had that conversation, or when my sister had that conversation, and I overheard her saying, you can do, but, definitely not this one religion. Now, I also read that book, and I got into reading more books. And as time progressed, I kind of just, forgot about it for a while. And as so much things was happening in the world, I kind of questioned myself if this is what I wanted to do. So I kind of left it, for a while, and it just, it stayed in my head, even though it was silently behind. I left it at the back burner. It was just in my head, just rolling around, but so much was going on in the world at the time. And I remember one time driving through the Hudson River Tunnel, and I was asked by my sister. We were driving over from Jersey, and I remember my sister was, saying to me, what has the world come to if this is what God has done, There was lots of questions we kind of asked, but there was no answers for. Apart from that, there was lots of questions that I too had, where I never got no answers for. I went to the reverend of the church. I went to some friends that I know were very active in church as well. And there was nobody can answer the questions that I had. And I was just told, what, just forget it and believe. Now, how am I to believe something where there is no backstory to? And I'm the sort of person, like, if there is something I want to find out, I'm going to go, to the ends to find out what I need to. Now, fast forward to that, there was no one that I knew who were Muslims. I just used the internet at the time. I used every opportunity that I got to search the web. I went, there was lots of videos that I watched. I will also link them in the description box for you below. And I was very careful as to what videos that I watched. Obviously not everything on the internet, it is the truth. Apart from that, there was so much negativity around Islam, and I was not scared at all. I just knew that everyone's perception or everyone's opinion of something is completely different than what mine is or was at the time. And you know, to do away with most of that, I just would stop listening. I didn't listen to the news media, obviously, because you know what the news media does. It highlights basically what it wants to, and I basically disconnected myself from social media at the time. I also was not listening to news. I just, you know, took that opportunity, you know, and I prayed, you know, and I asked, you know, if this is for me, you know, guide me. I asked for guidance, and alhamdulillah, here I am today. I also had work colleagues that I was very close to, and they too were Muslims. Now this is fast forward 10 years ago, when I moved to the UK. I felt like I was a bit lost at the time, but I had a few friends where they were Muslims. I also had Christian friends. When I came to the UK, I were looking at the time for a church to be a part of. I remember going to 3 churches, and every time I went to church, I just felt so out of place. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but I felt, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but I just didn't feel right, you know, and I asked for guidance. I then found a church where I said to myself, look, this is what you have to do, and you just got to do it, which is what I did. I volunteered in that church. I served at the church every Sunday. I was a server or an usher, if you would want to say, and I did that relatively for about 2 years, I would want to say. And it just kept coming back in my mind, like, you know, I just felt like there was something missing, and I just had to find what it was. So what I did, I then, you know, I used to go to church every Sunday. I then started to go every other Sunday. Like I mentioned before, I had friends who were Muslims as well, and I watched how they would pray and the things they would say, the meaning to what they would say. It was basically giving me some of the answers to the questions that I had, where no one were able to give me the answers to. I continued to read lots of books that was given to me by friends, close friends, and I also began to read the Quran, and from that I basically, you know, prayed about it. Most of my time, quiet time, I spent praying, you know, asking for answers, like, why do I feel this way? You know, help me to understand what's going on, you know, with myself. And I then decide, like, you know what, I will speak to someone about it. When I spoke to my daughter's dad, you know, he was not in art, but he was like, you know, he was very supportive, to be honest. He was very supportive. He was actually the first person I told that I was actually changing my religion, or I am changing my religion at the time. And I would basically, you know, say certain things to him, like in the morning, if I would ring him, I would say, Salam alaikum. Certain things he would say, you know, I would then, mashallah, alhamdulillah. And he was very intrigued by the things that I was saying. And he was, to be honest, the words that he used, he was like really proud of me, that you know, I'm a brave person, which is, I am definitely a brave person. I'm not afraid to, you know, go out there and get what I want, to be honest. Moving forward from that, I then started to talk to my family. I also started wearing the hijab. As you can see, I'm wearing my hijab now. I started wearing my hijab. It was not that I was wearing, I felt doing that, it was just, you know, completely different. And I was basically practicing Islam before I had taken my Shahada. I decided that it was time. I used to eat halal. I stopped eating, non-halal foods. I started introducing different things in the way I would approach certain situations. I did lots of that, and basically I was practicing all that before taking my Shahada. I also used to practice praying, and even before taking my Shahada. That's when I decide, you know what, it is time that, I do it. But before doing that, I spoke to two of my sisters, and I told them, what I was going to be doing or what I have done, and they were not shocked. I don't know if they didn't, fully understand what I was saying, but I basically went ahead in taking my Shahada, and now here I am today. Now,